After you finish that stage, it goes into the second stage. And the second stage is known as, if I'm not mistaken, intimacy, because they switch up the wording, intimacy versus isolation. Intimacy versus isolation is about from the age of 20 to about, we could say 39. And in this stage, the biggest goal is, can you settle down, right? It's, can you start a family? Can you have people around you that love you? Can you have a different sort of a support system? And typically this is focused more on finding a partner of the same sex or opposite sex to really settle down with, whatever settle down means to you. So, that's when you see a lot of people who, now the question changes. There's a huge societal pressure with, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What's your plan after high school? What's your plan, right? All of a sudden, it's the same pressure, but the question changes. When you're 20, many people might not ask you, man, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? But you can imagine when you're getting 28, 29, 30, 31, the questions are going, why aren't you married yet? Why are you still single? Why aren't you with somebody? What's wrong? As if everybody has to get married before 25. And if you don't get married by 25, you must be doing something wrong, right? Which you're totally not taking into account any of the other situations that are going on. I apologize if you hear a little bit of like pop, pop, pop. Like there's some rain going on. But it really is that. I think, I've definitely talked to people, to friends who, we're experiencing other things. I'll talk to friends in high school. They're like, Daniel, I'm sick of it, man. People keep asking me, what do you want to do? I either give them fake answers or I say, I don't know. And they look at me like I'm lost, like I should know. And I don't know. And that stresses me out. On the other end, I see people who are 30 years old who are going, Daniel, man, I'm single. I'm just focusing on my career right now. The opportunity for a partner just hasn't come up. It just hasn't been right. It doesn't make sense right now. And people are looking at me, when are you going to settle down? And I would argue I've seen that more with my female friends than with my male friends. Well, why don't you have a guy yet? Why haven't you settled down? Why aren't you with somebody? Has nobody come and grabbed you and taken you? And like, what are you implying? I feel like, especially with this one, the marriage one, the settle down one, I feel like there was a point in time where the time for, now whether you want to be common law or marriage, but basically be with someone, live with someone, in that romantic relationship. I feel like it's been extended. I feel like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you became 26, 27. It was like, all right, like, we're settling down now. But now, I feel like more and more you see people who are in their 30s getting married. 31, 32, 34, 36. People are marrying later on. Not to mention if you get, if your first marriage or first relationship doesn't work out, then you go into another one. And I think, we just have to be really considerate of the fact that, so it just doesn't work out for everybody. And it's not that, being single sucks, that you should have to be intimate with someone. But eventually there comes a point where, in your life where you're going to need someone, where you're going to be close to someone. Now, depending on your life circumstances, you might have parents, you might have other guardians and friends and siblings, but really, having a partner who will be with you when you're not doing well, when you're sick, sitting by your bed, when you're 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, that's kind of a different story, in my opinion. So that is the second biggest stage, where it's, stage one is, have you found yourself? Stage two is, and I hate saying, have you found someone? Because I don't want you to think that you're incomplete if you don't find someone, not at all. But I do think, that, let's be honest, from an evolutionary standpoint, the basis of sex, the basis of intercourse is reproduction. So we are inherently, what's the word I'm looking for? Wired to settle down. Like it's just one of the basic human biologies, right? Our bodies are created in essence to reproduce, to have kids, right? And let them continue, right? Can them continue for the next generation on, and so on and then forth. So on and so forth. There we go, right? So I don't want to say that everyone, if you're single by the age of 40, you failed, you didn't make it past the stage. Please don't think about it like that. I actually want to say the opposite. I want to say, hey, listen, if you're not with somebody and you're 45, man, it's okay. And I don't mean to say that like, oh, whatever, just be 70 alone. No, but it's like, man, if it's not right for you, it's not right for you. I know a lot of people who, I don't want to say selfish, like it's a bad trait, but they're not relationship people, Maybe a hookup here and there, but it's not for them. They don't like kids. They don't have the patience for kids. I would rather have even a couple or even a person by themselves who doesn't like kids, not have kids, than to have kids because everybody's doing it. I think that is probably the most irrational and non-logical answer I've ever heard in my life. Daniel, do X. Why? Because everyone's doing it. Daniel, have a kid. Why? Everyone's doing it. Daniel, get a tattoo on your throat. Why? Because everyone, man, what? Why? Are we all the same person? Do we all think the same? Do we all have the same personality? I don't think so. I don't think we do. So really, my friends, again, this is just Erik Erikson. This was a person's opinion. You could even say hypothesis. Can you find some value in it? For sure, but please do not take this as a cold, hard fact. Think about it on your own. But in my opinion, based on what he's saying, I can agree with it. I think definitely it's figuring out who you are and then really looking at, you want someone there with you, a different kind of love, a love that a partner can give you. Now, an interesting thing that I heard about, I'm going to take this podcast in a totally different direction from what I was planning originally, was when we're speaking about love and we're speaking about settling down with someone, have you ever thought about what you look for in another person? Like when you want to settle down with someone, like what is it? Now I know, some people listening to this might be like, oh, well, looks, they have to be attractive. It's like, okay, well, for sure, of course they do. There's certain things that you inevitably want in a person. And is that a bad thing? I don't think so. Some people just have preferences, right? She wants the guy to be over 6 foot tall. And is that bad? You decide. He wants her to weigh under 220 pounds. Is that bad? You decide, right? Some people want partners who are fit. Some people want partners who are big into music or whatever they may be. And I was just really thinking about it. When you think about looking for traits in someone that you would like, what comes up? What comes to mind first? What are certain things that you look for and you're like, whoa, like ding, like a thing goes off. You're like, wow, like this is a person who I wouldn't mind, even if it's not romantically, that I wouldn't mind being close with in life. Just in life in general. Like I like you, I like having you around. A thing that I heard that was very interesting, and it was from Ben Shapiro, out of all people. Now, I'm not speaking from a political aspect. That is not something I'm going to get into, not for this video. But he spoke about, he was giving someone advice about marriage, settling down with someone. And someone was saying, hey, Ben, like, I want to settle down with someone. What should I look out for? She's a great person. She's amazing. It's just politically, we're on the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And Ben, which I totally agree with his answer, he said this. He said, if interests are different, that is okay. Right? If I love MMA and she loves golf and art and I like MMA and music, whatever, that's okay. We don't have to love the same things. The point where it becomes extremely important, though, my dear friends, is values. Our values have to be the same. Now, what do values mean? Again, values are morals of right and wrong. What if I'm super religious and she's not religious at all? What if I go absolutely no drinking for the rest of your life and she grew up when she was drinking at the age of 16 because her parents were really cool? That's when you get to problems. And then look at, raising kids. Right? Imagine your values of right and wrong. You're trying to teach a person, right? Whether you talk about religion, whether you want to talk about politics, spirituality. I mean, there's just a bunch of things, right? When you think about, your definition of right and wrong, and you want to steer, like, what if your mindset is like, oh, a kid has to explore. I have to let him go out and fall on his face and he'll become better and stronger. And the other person's like, no, like they have to be protected and shielded and we can't let them be harmed at a young age, right? They both have different philosophies, but it's really, really important that you're folks that as long as you're, in his opinion, which I completely agree with, even if your interests are different, it's all right. He can love Korean food and you can love, Greek food. But as long as you guys come together for those big things, for those big opinions, for those big values, I believe that it can work out. Now, if you want to talk politically, religiously, I think it depends on how extreme. Are we going extreme left and extreme right? That could be problematic. That could be very problematic, especially if you guys are trying to change each other's view, whether consciously or subconsciously getting on each other's nerves. But I mean, if they're closer to each other, there's nothing wrong. I think it's even healthy to share different opinions. Maybe you can offer someone some sort of a value, that they were not open to before. And how are they getting that value? From their association directly with being friends with you, directly with being tied to you, with hanging out with you.